Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of TV is a Real Mom. I'm Dave,
I'm Catie.
and you are listening to, well, a podcast, but it's not Survivor. In today's
No.
episode, we are going to talk about a new show that lots of people are talking about, and we also love it just as much as the general public does. And that's a little show on HBO called Westworld. And yeah, Catie, it's gaining popularity very quickly, isn't it?
Yeah. I was a latecomer. Well, it's only been 3 episodes, but I didn't want to dive into it because
Just
these shows like this, I mean, they require so much thought and so much commitment, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to go there again. Like a lot of people compare it to Lost,
yeah,
and Lost is a show that we were so into and so like down the rabbit hole with theories and stuff like that that it's
yeah,
exhausting and you need time off from a show like that.
yeah,
And so I was hesitant. But the nice thing about this show is it's HBO, so it's only 10 episodes a year. So I mean you
yeah.
have time to sift through. But at the
Hmm.
same time, every episode makes you think of 20,000 different things. So I'm not sure how this conversation is going to go. It's going to be just a general conversation about the first 3 episodes or just the show in general
Yeah,
with specific points, maybe. And then maybe we'll try a weekly podcast after this one. But
yeah.
this is
This is
our
kind of
first,
an experiment.
yeah, it's a bit of an experiment because, but the nice thing about it is really the only other show we've tried talking about is The Walking Dead. And at the time we were doing it, we had a very transparent disdain for it.
Yeah,
The nice thing about Westworld is that it's new, it's fresh, and we both really like it right now. So
yeah, yeah. Maybe that will put a slight spin of positivity on
yeah,
our outlook of this show. And yeah,
yeah.
you hit it on the head that this show is like extremely complex, and there's just like so much going on. And I personally am very confused in a lot of ways. Hopefully, hopefully you get it more than I do,
I don't
and
get it at all.
and
I
I
mean,
I can sort of be the bumbling idiot asking you questions, and you can tell me what's going on.
no,
So
I mean, I know there are a million theories out there, and I have
yeah,
not looked at hardly any of them. I have a couple of my own, but
yeah.
not to the level like, oh, I was listening to another podcast between Josh Wigler and the girl that he
Are they
podcasts with.
podcasting about Westworld?
Yeah, and
Uh,
it's just a
uh,
theory for everything, and I can't. That's not what we're here to do. I mean, we're gonna have
no,
theories here and there, but
I don't really want to do that.
no.
I enjoy, like, if there's a couple interesting theories that you want to talk about, I am totally down with that because theories can be fun. But let's not just go like
This
let's
means
not.
this. This means
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I think's gonna happen, and you know that what this is foreshadowing, and yeah, let's not do that.
I mean, you're already seeing like references to literature. I mean,
Yeah,
there's so many layers. And if you listen carefully, the background music is often like a song you know, but played in a different way. And you're like, oh, what does that mean? So it's just one of those shows where everything, I mean, you can probably watch it 6 times and find something new every time. So obviously, we are barely going to be grazing that surface
yeah,
of this
yeah.
show.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest songs that they've done so far was Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden.
Yes, that was a good one.
Do you have another example of a song they played on the piano thing? The player piano?
Um, well, in the first episode, there was that whole Painted Black sequence. That's a
Oh,
really
yeah,
nice
Painted
song.
Black. Yeah,
But
that
then in
was
the
really good.
last episode, called The Stray, in what I think was the best scene with Anthony Hopkins and Bernard is the character's name, right? So Dr. Ford and Bernard were in a room together, and he was talking about his former partner, Arnold.
Hmm.
And there was a little like robot at the piano, and he was playing a classical song that I know is called Reverie. And I feel like that was just a little hint to the reveries that were talked about in the first episode, and that they probably mean more than we know at this point.
So, what
So
are the reveries now?
the reveries are the first episode they showed one of the prostitute robots, Clementine, was like moving her hand away from her face.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember now. Reveries are the little subtleties that they add to the robot people, the
That makes it look
hosts.
like they're remembering something,
But it's like
which
makes them seem human, right?
yeah, but the
Yeah.
thing is, there are theories out there that the reveries are the thing that are causing the glitch or
Okay.
whatever is happening to the different robots in the
Well,
park.
that makes sense. That's a good theory.
Right. And my theory, and I think a lot of people's theory, is that Dr. Ford, who was played by Anthony Hopkins, has purposely put those there to cause some type of glitch, to make something bigger happen that we don't know yet
Okay.
what that will be.
Yeah, because he obviously has some sort of backstory that
Huge. Yeah.
huge backstory that's going to play into like motivation for starting the park and all that stuff, right?
Right. And an interesting thing about, because Westworld, this show, is based on a movie from the 1970s of the same name
Yeah.
called Westworld, and that show was written and directed by Michael Crichton, who later
Who
wrote.
wrote the book, right?
There is no book; it's
There's
just a
no
movie.
book.
But
Oh,
it was written by Michael Crichton because he wanted to make this movie.
okay. And but he is the author of Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah, and you can definitely see parallels between Jurassic Park and Westworld.
Yeah.
But anyway, apparently he was like he worked in the medical field for a long time, and he became very disillusioned with it because he saw that people like doctors in power became more focused on their careers and playing God, and so he typically writes those figures like John Hammond in Jurassic Park and perhaps Dr. Ford in this show as getting too greedy with their creations or going too far, and then something happens.
Ah, okay.
So I think that's where this is headed.
Yeah, yeah, obvious parallels with Jurassic Park where the dinosaurs kind of like get out of control and cause a lot of problems for people who are trying to enjoy the theme park experience. And
I'm just
that's
there to have
definitely,
a good time, man.
yeah, exactly. That's definitely what's starting to happen here in Westworld. There's an interesting question here I'm looking at. Why does anyone visit Westworld?
I've thought that myself because it costs $40,000 a day. So you have to be
Yeah.
like one of the richest people on the planet. And
Yeah.
you also have to be very, very morally loose, Because like when I think of a dream vacation, usually doesn't involve going to a whorehouse and shooting people that are not real. But I know in our video game culture, if people could bring that video game to life and do that without consequence, I bet you a lot of people would take that opportunity. I mean, would you?
God, it's tough to say because I do enjoy a somewhat violent video game from time to time, but
Right.
there's something about that. There's a wall. There's sort of a wall between reality. Like video games are so fake, as realistic as they look. The way I'm controlling it is with a freaking controller in my hands with my thumbs. It's not like I'm actually picking up a gun
Mm-hmm.
and shooting somebody. And to me, because it's so fake, that it's not as big of a deal. But if you were actually physically shooting somebody, even if you knew it was like a robot or whatever, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could do it. But that's the thing. There are many people in this world now and in the past that have shot real, actual human beings and enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
I can
I
see
mean,
how
that's a
there's
fair
always a
point, but
place for this.
that's why it's an entertaining show and it's obviously fiction, but you have to take the show and realize kind of what it's telling you about our culture or where our culture could go.
Yeah,
And
no, it's very interesting. It's very thought provoking for sure.
yeah, and as someone who plays a lot of video games like yourself, I mean, it's nice to see that you would hesitate before taking that step. But what if, I don't know when Westworld takes place, do you? Like what
No,
year?
I don't, but I imagine it has to be quite a ways into the future, right?
Right, because,
Maybe not that far,
who's
but
to say that that technology won't get there someday? And then maybe people won't see that line that is crossing the line, you
well,
know?
we've already made a revolutionary jump in virtual reality, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of home console like Xbox and PlayStation have released their own virtual reality, sets, and so virtual reality is already getting to a point where we can play really realistic virtual reality experiences, and that I think is the next stepping stone to what is going on in Westworld, which is essentially using robots and real life experiences to be able to to shoot people,
I
or
mean,
whatever else, or have sex with hookers.
yeah, lots of that too. But
um, whatever,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
it's a step beyond virtual reality, and that it's actually happening, and that
Yeah,
it's real. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's it's not hard to see the parallels between our primitive society as compared to that and this place,
yeah.
Westworld.
Can you really call these things robots
No, they're
anymore?
called hosts. I guess I
Yeah,
always call them robots, but
yeah.
you're supposed to call them hosts.
I've been calling them robots this whole time, but I guess
Hmm.
I'm wondering what makes a host in this experience different than a robot, because there seems like there's kind of a difference, right? Or are they essentially just robots?
I mean, they are right, but they give them flesh and stuff like that, and they give them
But there's
uh,
also this level of programming and
yeah.
software. There's
Hmm.
this level of, okay, we can make it so that people can go into this world and they can get shot but not get hurt.
Hmm.
They can get shot with a bullet, and as we saw with the character, what is that guy's name? Who's the
Catie.
blonde? What's the blonde guy's name?
William,
Maybe it's William. Yeah,
the white hat guy,
white hat guy. Yeah.
white hat William.
Yeah, he got shot in episode 3, and he said it hurt. Like, it knocked him down and it hurt, but it didn't like penetrate the skin. So there's like sort of this level of programming where they can make it so that, they can design the world to behave like defy the laws of physics almost. And I don't
See, I can't
understand.
even wrap my brain around that part of
Yeah.
it, like the coding, because I don't understand coding. I'm here for the story.
No, yeah, there's a fictional level to that, obviously,
Yeah,
where
obvious. Yeah,
it's not possible to do that, at least not in any way we can fathom right now. But yeah,
right.
it'll be interesting to see how they kind of, if they try to explain that, you know,
Yeah, do you think they should, or do you think they should just kind of
I don't
subtly
know.
explain it? Because we've learned from Lost that sometimes explaining things doesn't make
Yeah,
it better.
no, and this show is also its executive producer J.J. Abrams, who was the
Yeah, he's got his
executive
hands in
producer
everything.
of Lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like Lost did try to shy away from answering all questions. They're like, you know
Well,
what?
I'm thinking specifically of the 316 thing and Eloise Hawking, like that instance where they tried to explain it. Everybody was like, "What the hell was that? That makes no sense." Like
Yeah, they
when you
tried.
try to explain science that is not real, you
Yeah,
just make an ass of yourself.
but
So the problem,
that's a sci-fi thing that geeks like J.J. Abrams love. They love when they like can sort of do this pseudoscience to explain
but
what's
if it's
going
not
on.
real, then why bother?
Yeah,
I mean, whatever.
just
I can't
yeah.
believe I just said that, but
But yeah, it's weird that Lost had both of those going on in the same show. They're like, oh, we're gonna try to explain this, and then the island is magic.
yeah,
Like both of them at the
right,
same time. So it's kind of weird. But
yeah.
that's knowing that that's how J.J. Abrams operates. You have to wonder how much of that's going to go on in this show. There's going to be pseudoscience mixed with magic.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't see a lot of magic yet, except
Yeah.
was it the first episode or the second episode where I think it was the second episode where Dr. Ford, Anthony Hopkins, goes out into the desert and he sees that kid, which a lot of people theorize is a young version of him.
That's what that
Whatever.
was my first thought. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
kind of my first thought too, but why? I'm not even going to go there.
I don't even know why that was my first thought, to be honest.
It's maybe we're just programmed
Yeah.
that way
To
to think
predict
that.
everything. Yep.
Yeah. But no, like how he stops the snake and the kid hears the bells, and obviously that's probably not magic, but that's how I read it as, ooh, this guy's magical.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. There's a little bit of magic there. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Also, themes that J.J. Abrams likes, from what I've seen, he likes like good versus evil, sort of like Stephen King stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
this reminds
and the
me a lot of
black versus white. Yeah.
it reminds me a lot of Stephen King Dark Tower-ish stuff.
Oh, yeah. And you got to imagine the white hat guy is being set up to be some sort of, fighter of Man in Black, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I read a theory about him and I can't unthink it, but I don't want to share it with you if you don't want to know it. So I'm not going to.
Yeah, I don't want to.
But because
Yeah,
it could be right and it's such a compelling theory that like it has to be right.
Yeah,
But it
if
might not be.
theories are too good, they usually are true.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, the interesting thing about the Man in Black is something else I was reading. It's not a theory or anything, but it was just talking about the Man in Black and how he's been playing this game for
Yes.
30 years. So he's one of those gamers who knows it so well that he can like hack the game, and that's what he's trying to do with Westworld.
With the maze?
But
Is he trying to hack it through the maze?
He's trying to find the maze, yeah, which a lot of people don't even know about.
Because it allows him to, I believe it will allow him to access a deeper level of the program, of the software, basically.
But why? But why though?
Then he can change the rules.
But why?
That's a good question. He must have some compelling reason, character-driven reason, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would
more.
like to see him 30 years ago and see what has made him set him on this path. So hopefully we get a little, let's not delay his backstory for 3 seasons. Let's take care of that pretty quick here.
Yeah, good call. A friend of mine, after watching the episode, he was like, is the Man in Black, is he a host or is he a guest? Like a guest for 30 years, or is he a host?
Well, I think he's a guest. And, the corporate lady, I want to call her Teresa. I might have just pulled that out.
Who's that? Who you asked about?
Teresa? Is there a Teresa?
There is a Teresa played by Sidney Babbitt Knudsen.
No, that's probably her.
Brunette lady?
Yeah, she's the corporate lady who's like running things.
Yeah, that's Teresa. Yep.
Okay. All right. So she mentions that they haven't had a critical failure in over 30 years. And the Man in Black said he's been coming here for 30 years. And the security guy, Stubbs, I want to say his name is, he said that the Man in Black gets whatever he wants.
Yeah.
So something happened 30 years ago, might have involved the Man in Black when he first started coming. Mm-hmm. Maybe that has a role to play in why he is doing what he is doing now.
Yeah. Yeah. So what if something bad happened? He had a bad experience in Westworld, and to make it up to him, they're like, we'll let you have unlimited access to Westworld and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's not enough. Now why is he just now getting around to the maze? Like,
maybe he's been trying to find it for like 30 years. Or maybe he's been, whoring and killing, and he's just got sick of that after a while. And now he's on to the next thing. But I think you're right. He's got to have more motivation as a character to be doing what he's doing.
Well, there's something with him and Dolores too, which who knows?
Abernathy.
Yeah, Dolores is one of the main characters, played by Evan Rachel Wood, one of the most recognizable people on the show, I guess.
Yeah, what else has she been in?
I want to say, why is she recognizable? I don't know. She dated Marilyn Manson. Maybe that's why.
Oh.
Okay. But anyway.
She's been in The Wrestler, Across the Universe, and The Ides of March.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. She's been in stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, God, there is just so much to talk about.
I know. There's so many ways to go. Like, I don't
know. Yeah.
But
what do you think?
Dolores generally is one of the people, one of the hosts that has been infected, I want to say, by this. It's not really a virus, but it seems to be sparked by a certain set of words, because Abernathy, someone planted that photo that Abernathy saw, her father, that set him on the path to awakening. Mm-hmm. And then he whispered to Dolores, "These violent delights have violent ends," which is a Shakespeare quote, which again, you can go into that, like down a rabbit hole with that.
Yeah, but any literature quotes you can remember, please bring those up, because I love that stuff, and I just can't remember specific examples, but yeah.
Yeah, that's from Romeo and Juliet. But anyway, then she later whispers that to Maeve, who was the madam, the brothel madam played by Tandy Newton.
Yep.
Um, and then she has kind of an awakening. She seems to have a nightmare that, nightmares are memories of past programming. Is that right? Is that what they said?
Sort of, yeah, it sure seems like they're starting to have memories of former loops that former storylines they've been involved in.
Yeah.
They're starting to remember these things, which means somewhere in their, robot brains, they have the capacity to remember things, like meaning there's memory built in. I suppose that's part of the programming to make things work the way they do in the first place. But maybe they didn't anticipate it would be possible for these things to be able to retain memories from loops.
Well, didn't they say they program them to dream?
Oh, okay. I think you're right.
But their dreams are just past loops.
Yeah, maybe that's right. I can't remember, honestly. Like I said, there's a lot of this is over my head. So
talking about it now reminds me how little we know about this show.
Yeah, I know very little. I just enjoyed watching it. I don't understand it very well.
But somebody okay, since we're not really on a straight path here,
that's okay.
I'm just gonna lay one of my theories on you. I didn't read this anywhere. This is just one that I have.
Yeah.
I think that Bernard, you know who Bernard is, right?
Yes, got it.
He's basically the second in command, or at least with the talk. He's the one having conversations with Dolores that he shouldn't be.
But he's more of a scientist. He's more of like a creator of the robots, right? Or the hosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
He works with the nuts and bolts of the hosts and programming as well. Which interestingly, in this show, in this world, programming is done through talking to a person. With, like you said, certain commands and phrases can trigger things and help them program these people. So go ahead.
Well, my theory is that he's a host, that he's one of Ford's greatest creations.
Wow.
Because there's a line in the first episode where where Ford says, "I've been inside your head," or "I know how your head works," or something like that. And then there's another, in the second episode, or maybe it was the first one. I think it was the second. Sorry, I'm confused.
That's
where Ford makes a statement, Ford is Anthony Hopkins, about Darwin and how evolution was all done using a mistake, or the mistake. That was the only tool that was used for evolution. And then in the last episode, Bernard repeated that exact same statement, like word for word, to Dolores.
Yeah.
And
it was programmed into his brain by what's Anthony Hopkins'
Dr. Ford.
Name? Dr. Ford, yeah.
And then the other thing is that after Dr. Ford, he reminds Bernard that these creations aren't real. And then he says something about his dead son, which we've never heard anything of before, who we've never heard about. And then the next scene, we see him talking to we assume his ex-wife or something, about his dead son. However, here's where it gets interesting. And I don't know if this is true or not. And I don't know if this is just me being wrong by these kids look alike. But the kid in Tandy Newton's nightmare and the kid that Bernard's son are supposedly the same kid.
Oh, okay.
So he could be like a host too. That's just a kid host. That's just thrown around for different.
Put him in whatever storyline you need him. We need him for now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what hosts are for.
So anyway,
Yeah.
So that's
I could see that. So wait, I'm sorry. The point of that is that
what's he like?
He calls hosts his children or something.
No,
I totally missed that.
The point of it is that he didn't have a son, or if he did, it was in a loop. You know what I mean? Like that was a loop that Ford designed for him.
Right, because we saw in this episode, right, the stray how easy it is to kind of give somebody a backstory, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you can just give it to them, like you like
Uh-huh.
snap your fingers, and now you think
Wyatt
this. Didn't
is
they
a
do that through Teddy?
yeah, poor
Yeah,
Teddy, yeah.
yeah. What do you think about Teddy getting murdered over and over again?
Well, I mean, it sucks, but they
Kind of
seem to,
sad.
like, Ford seems to have it in for him because now he's designed this backstory for him that gives him an even more violent ending than he got
Yeah.
before. Like, how do you put
So
it back together after that? Isn't he
yeah,
in pieces?
yeah, yeah. I think so. Um, yeah. So Teddy seems to be an important character, and he's played by a pretty big actor, right? Like I've seen this guy
Yeah,
and stuff before.
James
So
Marsden. He's quite
so
handsome. He's always been handsome.
he's very handsome. Um, but yeah, you got a guy, a big actor here playing a host that just gets murdered over and over again. Um, yeah, you got to wonder, how is this character going to become more, than just this robot in a storyline? And I guess that's kind of what the whole show is building towards, right? Is these hosts are gonna become more like people, right?
Right. Is that the idea that eventually you make such complex creations that eventually their code just exceeds you and what you're capable of giving them, and they can they think independently at some point? You
Yeah,
know?
I think that's one of the big, like, uncomfortable but great questions that shows like this bring up is, what is consciousness? What does it mean to be human?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need memories to be human? Do what is consciousness? Are these beings conscious? At what point do they become conscious beings? I think they even ask that question in the show at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody says, what is consciousness? Or maybe I'm just making that up, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
There's
no.
these crazy theories, not theories about the show, but like where he was talking about bicameral. I don't even remember what it's called, but I started reading about it and I was
Yeah,
like, it's so over my head. Like,
like that's a real theory
it's
thing.
a real
And
theory dealing with the development of language in humans and how
yeah,
eventually, I can't explain it. It's interesting, but it's exhausting.
yeah,
But
this show is very lost, like in the way that sort of and the lore and pseudoscience, you could go down rabbit holes for days reading about that
yeah,
stuff.
3 episodes in, and you can just get lost in this stuff.
Yeah.
No
Um,
pun intended.
good question right here. How good is that employee discount? Um,
Uh, I don't know if I mean, if you work behind the scenes and you know how it all works, is that something you even want to take a part of? It's like, if you work behind the scenes at Disney World, do you really want to go on Space Mountain?
good point. That's really good. But yeah, this article on Vulture says even half off would set them back 20 grand every 24 hours. So yeah, like even if you got a 50% discount, how much are you making at that job to make the employee discount worth it, right?
Well, you got to think that this is some indeterminate point in the future, unless if we're wrong, maybe they have said what year, but I don't think they have.
Yeah, with inflation, that's more like $10 a day, right?
Maybe it's so far in the future that that's what it is.
Yeah.
But then you think of like Logan and William, they're supposedly there for work. Are they there for work? Doesn't
Who's
I feel
that?
like they said William, White Hat William,
Hmm.
who didn't appear until the second episode, and his douchebag friend Logan.
Yeah.
It seemed like they worked together and they were there for work, or maybe
Didn't I
because of
don't think
work.
so, because it sounded like Logan, when we found out his 40,000 a day, it sounded like Logan was saying, I didn't pay, I don't want to pay 40,000 a day just to sit here around the fire or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
So they're obviously paying for it, and it sounds like paying out of their own
No, they
pocket.
are, but I maybe they're not there for work, but it seems they work together, and that
Yeah,
might
they're
have a
they're they're coworkers. That's what I feel like.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're
Uh,
gonna have that. We haven't been told who they work for or what they work for, but it might
yeah.
have something to do with why they're there.
Yeah, and I do think that William was sort of hesitant to go to Westworld, and Logan just kind of convinced him, this is really fun. You have to try this. You need
Mm.
this.
Yeah.
Come. And I don't know why he needs it, because he tells you know,
Clementine.
tells Clementine that he has a girlfriend at home or
Yeah, I wouldn't
a
be so
lady at
keen on
home.
sending my fiance off to Westworld.
Yeah, well, you can't die there supposedly. So
Yeah, but you could probably. I wonder if there's robot STDs. Probably not.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Did you know that there are like host animals?
Yeah, the horses. I mean, they
Yeah,
show them making the
well,
horses.
like host rattlesnakes, wolves,
Mm,
bears, and things that can,
really? So everything there is fake.
yeah, things that basically can't hurt you. Like, so you can have that
Oh,
because
it just
the
adds to the realism.
yeah, the adventure you can have there can cover all facets of the Wild West, including animals and stuff. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, you think about it. How romanticized, and I've even written a thesis about this, like
Yep.
how much we romanticize the American West. Imagine being able to go there and knowing you cannot get hurt, you cannot die. It's like time traveling with knowing you can come back and knowing you can come back unharmed.
Yeah, I would
It's
totally
like,
do it. I would
I
totally do
mean,
it.
I probably wouldn't partake in all the things you can partake in there, but I would
Mhm.
certainly not turn down an opportunity to go there.
I guess now that I think of it, I would probably kill like I would kill like a robber guy like in a storyline.
Sure, that's what he's
Like
designed for.
yeah, like
Like,
if it was like a criminal guy and I was playing the good guy and good guy versus bad guy thing, you know,
yeah,
I might kill a man, you
sure,
know?
yeah.
So
It would
yeah,
be
I guess
interesting. It's interesting to think, what would that do to you? I mean, it
yeah,
might not do anything good to you,
because it would feel
but
so real. I mean, and the blood and stuff like looks about as real as it can get, and so
so
yeah.
here's my question about it though. Once you have participated in a narrative loop, and like whoever that guy was, he killed Paolo the robber. So if you stay there for longer, do you eventually just see him walking around again? Like he's back up and ready for the next thing? Or if you're
Who did you say? Paulo?
Paolo from Lost, he
Oh
was around when he
yeah.
got shot.
So he was like the guy who they put in there
To
and he sort of
rough
like
shit up.
killed a bunch of dudes and then he got killed by a guest.
A guest, yeah.
Yeah.
So if that guest wants to stay there longer, will eventually they put Paolo back into action, or does one guest only get one narrative loop?
Yeah, I feel like that's a question of how long do the loops last? Like
Because
how often do the stories repeat themselves? Is it every day? Is it every
well, I
couple of
feel like
days?
every narrative loop is probably different, but it seems
Yeah.
like Dolores is just a day, Teddy is just a day.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would say that's correct right there, that depending on the character, they each have individual um yeah, time loops. Some are every day and some cycle every couple days, some cycle every week, and it just depends on the character and the storyline they're
And
involved
some
with.
get stuck, like when the woodcutter goes off
Ah, crap. Yeah, I just
to
totally
drop
forgot about
stars.
that
Like,
aspect of it, that you can the characters don't repeat the same thing every day because the guests interact with the host and affect the outcome of how
right.
their loop's going to be that day. So you can't guarantee what their loop is going to look like every day.
Yeah.
So that really messes things up. I don't know how I don't know
Ex-
how they're going to explain that or cope with that as a show, you know?
Yeah, and maybe they won't try, but if you think about it long enough, you're like, wait a minute,
Yeah. I bet
something
there's
about this
Yeah, I
isn't
bet
quite
there's going to
adding
be
up.
some holes, but at the same time, it's going to be good enough where you can come up with like an explanation that's good enough to keep the show going, basically.
I want to say that I'm very proud of my astronomy skills because as soon as I saw that those dots, I was like, that's Orion.
Wow.
Duh.
I had no idea. I was like, there's holes in that rock. Yeah. So, hey,
Anyway,
in the what was it called? The Stray?
the last episode, yeah.
Yeah, the Stray. Um can we talk about the end part where the guy like smashes his head in with a rock?
Yeah, the guy
Like,
who was looking at the stars or wanted to look at the stars.
was he like basically just committing suicide? Is that what was
Yeah,
going on?
I something happened.
And why was he able to
I,
commit suicide all of a sudden? Is that
I don't know.
gain did he gain consciousness? Like was he Did he gain free will? That guy?
Well, somehow he must have been infected with the same thing that infected Maeve
Yes.
and Dolores,
Yeah.
but uh, maybe I don't know if someone said something to him that we don't know. Something could have been spoken to him, or
Yeah.
perhaps it had something to do with the stars. Like maybe he had a past. Didn't they say something about that? He had a past loop as like a stargazer,
They did say something about that. Yep.
or else maybe he's just developing human desires. Like he wants to look at the stars. Like who doesn't want to look at the stars if you're a human? And it's messing with him somehow. But I
Okay.
have no idea.
But yeah, why the Rock? Was he like unable to shoot himself with the gun or something? Or I can't remember exactly what happened there.
No, the security guy was about to saw his head off.
Oh yeah, because he
Again, I don't know why. Because
well
doesn't
that
that do
was
damage?
well, I think they wanted to like reconfigure some things. Like it was like, let's cut the head off and just we'll redo some stuff and we'll reattach it, and that's that. Yeah. Um,
But then
but
the guy like woke up. Same thing that happened to Maeve when they were doing it to her.
yeah,
The one guy accused him of not putting her in sleep mode, but I think they're just something's happening. Like if they've been awakened or whatever, they can wake up when you're trying to do that shit to them because they're I don't want to
because
say becoming human, but I think that Ford's overall scheme is to make these things more human. I
yeah,
don't know
they're
why.
gaining some sort of consciousness. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. But so yeah, I still don't understand why like The Rock and why he smashed his own head in. I don't know.
because they wanted to gross the viewers out as much as possible.
That's a good enough answer for me. I'll
Yeah,
take
there were
that.
some really bad, not bad, well, bad, but like
Gory things.
disgusting, gory shots in like the first episode where like that
Yeah.
guy's face exploded when he got shot.
Yeah, in this episode, they like cut into that guy's face with the scalpel, and he was telling the guy
Yeah.
like, "Hey, these guys can't feel anything. Don't worry
Oh,
about it."
that was scary.
Yeah, that was
That was some
Dr. Ford,
Hannibal
right?
Lecter shit right there.
Dr.
Yeah.
Ford was kind of losing his shit a little bit. He's like, "Hey, don't treat them like humans." He doesn't like that.
But at the
So
same time, it seems that, well, if you buy into the theory that that's what he wants is for them
yeah,
to be
yeah.
more
I
human.
because of that scene, I tend to not buy into that theory because he seems to be very much like, no, do not do that. Do
They're not
not.
human.
They are not human. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I
there's
guess
something to
so.
that. I
Actually,
think
his
he doesn't like
what is
that.
his deal?
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how that develops.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I know we've already talked a little bit about Lost. I feel like it's going
Uh,
to be hard to talk about the show without talking about Lost,
yeah, we'll probably have
especially when
to.
there's already been one Lost character on it. Hello. So,
Paulo,
but
yeah,
but anyway, the very end of the episode, Dolores is able to shoot the gun when she wasn't able to shoot it before. So that's one thing. But the second thing is that William and Logan are just by the fire, and then Dolores just kind of stumbles into them. And that was such a lost thing. Like I flashed back to like Claire stumbling out of the woods, or those
yeah,
many episode endings. That was a total lost episode
yeah.
ending.
No, I could see that for sure. Getting that sort of vibe from that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah, so she wasn't really like hurt in any way. Was she just like exhausted from running really far or something?
She was almost killed and raped, and she was
Yeah.
able to suddenly shoot a gun, which she hadn't been able to do before, because she'd obviously been programmed as a non-violent character. So why can she suddenly shoot a gun?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And what was happening with all her like flashbacks while that was happening? I mean,
She saw the man in black when he wasn't there.
or she first got shot, it looked like she got shot, and then she flashed and looked
Oh,
down again, and she wasn't shot.
yeah, to me that was her remembering former loops where
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
in the past she had gotten shot by that guy, and she was able to, because she was able to remember that happening before, she was able to
Prevent it
change
this
the,
time.
yeah, prevent it. She ran away. She was like, this guy's going to shoot me, because that's what happened last time. And now she runs away. She's able to do things differently now that she has memories, like the
Yeah,
ability, she sort of has the ability to learn from the past and her mistakes now so she can change things.
And like when she's talking with Teddy, suddenly she's saying things like, "Oh, I want more than this. I want to run away now." And she realizes that when Teddy says someday, that
Yeah,
he's just putting it off when
yeah,
she
good
wants to
call.
go now.
Yeah, it occurs to her that that's just going to loop over and over again, and there will never be a someday. So
Right.
the only way to snap out of that loop, which is once again, this opens up a lot of symbolism for real life, which is always awesome when shows
Mm-hmm.
do this. You know, like if you're stuck in a loop and you're always saying someday, what does it take to snap out of that loop? Well, you got to do something
Mm.
different right now and today,
Whoa.
you know, right?
I
Boom,
didn't even think
symbolism.
about that. Real life parallels.
I'm always looking for that stuff.
Wow. That's like that really like hits close to home too.
Yeah, no, it does, doesn't it? Right. When you're
Yeah.
like working that dead end job, you know,
For what? To get
for
by
what?
for another one?
To get by and just continue the loop, you know?
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah.
Whoa. I didn't even think about it on that level. Like I was
Yeah.
thinking about it in robots and
Yeah, but I mean, you know, obviously in real life things are a little more complex. Like
right.
you could say, yeah, I got to live this loop for a couple more months, but a couple months from now the time is going to be right. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can plan ahead in life, like there is that, you know, as long as you have some sort of inkling that you're going to, you know, some sort of timeline, like as long as it's not like 3 years later and you said you were going to change something in a month, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you can always plan ahead, but there is something to that. Yeah, like when is the time? When is now the time? You know,
Yeah.
now is the time, you
That's
know?
true. All you
Yeah.
have is now.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
All you have is the moment. Um yeah, I think we're just like out of time for tonight, but it was fun
Yeah.
to get the ball rolling on talking about Westworld.
All
Um
over the place, I know. But
all
from
over the
now
place.
on we'll just focus on one episode at a time, which
Yeah,
even that is a
we'll
lot.
try to do that. But yeah, I definitely enjoy not just like I don't really enjoy recapping stuff as much as just sort of discussing,
Exploring the theme. Yeah.
exploring the themes and whatever comes up. So
Yeah. I don't
this
think we've
format isn't so bad, I don't think, you know.
no, and there's a ton of other recap shows out there who are just gonna go point by point through the episode and
Yeah.
you know,
That's not
it's
what
not
we're
really our
here.
style.
That's not what we're here to do. I mean,
No.
I think we've tried that in the past and it doesn't go well. So we'll just
Yeah,
talk
but it
about
was also
whatever.
about a okay, I'm not gonna say bad things about The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I
I no
guess
longer care for that show.
with
But
our Survivor podcast, sometimes there'll be episodes where for some reason I'm just stuck in this zone of like, well, this happened
just
and this
stuck in a loop.
happened. Yeah, I'm stuck in a loop. Exactly. Where I'm just like, where I'm just recapping, like, this happened. What do you think of that? And, you know, I
Yeah,
think the
but
best,
sometimes Survivor
you gotta,
episodes suck.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Not usually. I will
There's
preface or post. Not
post,
usually, but
post
sometimes you get
face.
some. That's not a word. Sometimes you get rotten episodes of Survivor, but it doesn't happen all that.
Yeah. Point being, though, that it's more fun to just kind of talk about whatever comes up, I think, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of how we do it. So
If you can keep the ball rolling, but that's the trick.
yeah, don't
All
get
right.
too far off the beaten path.
Yeah. Well, we'll try to keep this going, talk about next week's episode sometime next week, hopefully. Yep.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be a good time.
Yeah. Alrighty. Thanks for listening. We'll
Okie
talk to
doke.
you guys, not talk to you, but we'll, you
Talk
know,
at you.
you guys hear us later.
Okay.
All right, have a good one.
Farewell.